6. You and Lusat were chased by the Reich. How far did they chase? Were you able to contact Richard, or was the endeavor a bust?
It was a setup. I told you as much after what happened at the elevator. I just alerted his guards before trying to lure the Reich away from him.
Just trying to keep details straight. And the birds? You said they were prismatic. Are you sure they were agents of the Reich?
To say they had a worrying amount of eyes on us would be an understatement. Given they always seemed to know exactly where we were until we took out the crow, I'm gonna go with yes.
6 fails to hide a tinge of concern on his face.
Again, how far did they chase? How likely do you think our location is compromised?
Not very likely, and given that the last of them chasing us were brutally murdered before they could put out any sort of contact, we functionally vanished after taking the elevator. Unless they're working with Gemini, in which case Gemini is likely going to be their eyes up here.
Oruune, what kind of connections do you have in Gemini? You're working with them throughout this convention, of course, but I need to know if you have any good footholds anywhere. If nothing else, your heroism in this public spectacle is a good start.
I have no direct connections at the moment, other than being invited to learn about their technology due to my group affiliation, as you know. So, in other words, I have no additional connections past the obvious no.
Seems like you've been making an effort to keep your connections in the dark.
I'm not sure what you mean. Elaborate.
You believe you're just doing what's right for your country, right?
That is part of my goals, yes, but I'm not seeing what the point you're getting at underneath this is.
Why hide us in your involvement with Ron?
Well, it's not likely in the best interest of our mission that Gemini or the Reich knows Oruune's connection to Ronald or to us. That could put the mission in jeopardy.
How would I generate any trust if I'm affiliated with people who can be traced back to unsavory places? I don't know what you've done in your lives, but it seems safe to assume Gemini would not appreciate it.
I ain't referring to Gemini.
From the Grand Evident?
Precisely.
The less people that know, the better, and I don't know most of them very well. How could I tell if they'd have my back through everything? Undermining Gemini would put our relationship with them at risk, and cut us off from potentially very powerful technology. I don't think they would abide by my actions if they knew, at least not all of them. Also, I feel like being in a group with people the Grand Evident would probably call cutthroat lowlives or something to that effect. And not only that, but cutthroat lowlives rebels would severely tarnish my reputation. Perhaps not to the common folk, but to the higher-ups, most likely. How could a Fed trust a Fed who works with rebels and criminals?
Thought there'd be more fellowship between y'all.
There is, but it's more camaraderie.
So you're saying some in the Grand Eminent might consider this operation a risk to the improvement of your technology? You're afraid they don't see the larger picture?
They may see the larger picture. I'm not sure. I'm more concerned that they wouldn't care and would prioritize the tech over everything else. Well, the tech and the knowledge.
Navigate your connections with them carefully. But they very well may be our most likely allies in this of the three groups.
I wouldn't count on them. Keep your cards close.
Let me be clear. I don't think they're evil, but I also can't be sure I can trust them. I believe I should be cautious until I have reason to trust them.
Speaking of trust, each of us has certain connections, and the more dots we can connect together, the better. However, I understand everyone's hesitance to relay said information. I admit there are dots I cannot share with you at this time, and I know there are dots you are not obligated to share, but the more the whole group knows, the more likely we are to collectively, and hopefully individually, achieve our pursuits.
6's gaze narrows and glazes over, as if he's disappointed.
To start, I have insight that may determine our next course of action. The Reich have great interest in draining bodies of blood, and an even greater interest if they can do it without anyone batting an eye. If they are working with Gemini, this interest is shared. I think we should proceed in investigating the Reich's operations, but Oruune should have no involvement in that endeavor. Instead, I propose she should be our hands inside of Gemini, with the help of Amelie. Oruune's reputation and Amelie's prismatic stature are both wonderful leverages.
I agree that my direct involvement should be minimal. Actually, that reminds me. 6, were you able to obtain what I requested?
Yes'm.
I think you're just making up new contractions at this point.
6 reaches in his bag and grabs out the pieces of the payphone that he pillaged earlier and hands them to Oruune.
Great. Communications are going to be very important.
Are these payphone parts? I didn't think you'd be able to find them in a scrap heap.
I, didn't.
Were they given to you? Did you buy them?
I was running from Nazis. Didn't exactly have time to shop.
So, where did you get it?
Phone booth.
You took it straight from a phone booth.
Yeah.
You tore it right out of a phone booth and stuffed it in your bag.
She attempts to conceal laughter, but she's definitely smiling and chuckling, attempting to keep a straight face. 6 scratches the back of his head with a smirk.
Maybe.
That's hilarious, but it still works for my purposes, thank you.
No problem, ma'am.
Six, I'm noticing something. How come you refer to everyone else by name, but you call me ma'am? I know I have a bit more authority than most, but I have none over you, and you don't seem like the type to respect that authority regardless.
6 kind of blinks a couple of times, taken aback by the question, then turns back.
You're a proper woman. Figured I'd address you like one.
He seems being very genuine. Given his shy response, you can infer that that's not all there is to it. Yylch, impatient, turns to Lusat.
Lusat, how many Reich members did you kill?
9.
Listen, all. As it stands right now, it is in our best interest to have as few Reich members operating in this city as possible. In our operations, I'm sure there'll be plenty of those to get rid of. Unfortunately, publicity is undesired. It is best we spare Gemini employees where possible until we are able to confirm that they are working with the Reich.
Yeah. Besides, what does it mean to spare someone?
He looks at you through the side of his eye, coldly, as he continues to sharpen his axe.
It seems evident that they are working together, but it is best to be certain before we make any decisions on it.
Oruune, can you fashion a device out of these parts? I'd like to keep a constant flow of information between us as we are operating separately. But it needs to be encrypted or untraceable. And is there any way you can integrate it into your communications within your helmet? That would certainly help our discretion.
That was my plan, yes, along with any other possible implements, but the main thing was communication, small and easily hidden. I think this would especially be helpful for me since I tend to have very relevant information.
I think we both will. I want to be able to give informed instruction when necessary, especially when interacting with certain individuals.
You're not gonna get Lusat to listen if you tried.
I meant between Oruune and I. The three of us, you, Lusat, and I, will be working directly together to investigate the Reich's movements. Hopefully we can discover if there are any transactions between them and Gemini, and clean up while we're at it.
No offense, Squid Man, but I'm sure I'm capable of investigating some bloodstains on my own. You wanted to be all trusting and whatnot, then give me a reason. Tell me what to look for, and you can handle Richard.
That's a good point. You two have already been associated with Richard, though splitting up even smaller seems like a poor choice.
The bigger groups we're in, the more likely we are to be spotted.
The smaller the groups we're in, the more likely we are to be killed.
Smaller groups is better here. Once we have communication devices, we can reinforce the smaller groups when necessary, essentially giving the stealth of a small group and the safety of a large one at the same time.
Alternatively, I can stay within range, but remain disassociated.
By the way, Six, the next things I need are computer parts and camera parts. Next time you're out, I would appreciate if you could try to get those.
Roger.
We need to stay at least within an emergency distance. I would hate to be unable to assist if something were to go awry, or unable to be assisted if I find myself ambushed.
I agree. This is part of the reason why I say it would be especially beneficial for me, because I'm the most likely to be far away, and communication gives me a way to help when I'm not there.
Yylch, when we're ready to go down, let me take the elevator before you and Lasat.
And what do you hope to achieve?
Six's gaze darts away from Yylch.
It's just some safety measures.
Care to elaborate?
No.
Yylch shifts upward, clearly unamused.
You and Lusat are already associated with one another in the mind of the Reich. I feel it would be better if you two paired together, if anything. However, it is important that any crows are scouted out ahead of time.
Yylch, I would also appreciate more clarity, but in my opinion, you should listen to him. Scouting and guiding has always been Six's job. I don't think full faith in one another is strictly necessary, but I do believe that considering this is Six's job, you should trust him to do it and do it well. Even if you don't appreciate the vagueness.
Yes, I'm sure he is capable.
Yylch, tell me, just what do you think the right actually know about me and Lasat?
That you're, at the very least, a nuisance. Perhaps more. They could always use another disposable body for their bloodbath.
We aren't targets.
You may be now. They were certainly trying to kill you.
You almost got what I was trying to tell you.
Oh yes, by the way, Six, could you summarize the events of the lower city for me, other than the, phone booth destruction?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on. This isn't decided yet. What did you mean then, Six?
The only thing they'd want Lasat for is a blood bag. That isn't worth 9 men. Earlier, Jim and I understood this and let us off the hook. Using us. Why dispose of us then? Earlier I said they were working together. I still believe it's half true. But look at the direct contrast in the way we were handled. The Reich wanted us dead shot for shot. But I know there was more to that attack than just being in their way.
Obviously, Jim and I had ulterior motives. We cannot be certain they were with the Reich, but if they were, as soon as you led them to Richard, they cared not for if you were dead or alive. My point is, the Reich wants you dead, and Jim and I may too. If possible, I would like to keep myself under their radar. If you would like to scout ahead and remove any birds or other threats, I'm fine with that, but I would like to keep an overhead in case anything gets especially dirty. Alternatively, I can be the one to scout ahead, since the Reich are less likely to be looking for me, although I am far less equipped to neutralize the birds.
I know the Reich is connected to Jim and I.
And I'm inclined to believe so too, but again, cannot make a judgment call until we have more substantial proof. That's why it's important we investigate the Reich after we, if possible, contact Richard.
You don't understand. This isn't a game. This isn't some theory. I know they are connected.
And if you know of proof, why were you sent to investigate by Ronald?
Six gives Yylch a piercing glare.
When you turned into a rug last night, did you also flatten your brain?
Then is this new information?
Correct.
Then let's discuss it now and save us all a lot of time.
Afraid that's not going to happen. I told you they are connected. I'm still not quite sure how. but I'm more than certain that it is the case. For all I know, the Reich are a subsect of Gemini staging attacks as a publicity stunt. We don't know the precise information, I just know the men I encountered knew things only Gemini could have.
Then we shall proceed as planned and investigate the Reich's murders. All the more reason to be suspicious of their movements. Oruune, how comfortable are you alone tomorrow? Our group may need Amelie in case of a conflict.
I don't believe I'm a target at the moment, so I should be okay for now.
I do not want to keep her for long. I feel she may be important to your efforts with Gemini.
I really don't like the idea of putting the kid in danger, but I'll admit, Lusat and I could have used the help.
She'll stay with me as much as possible.
Like that's supposed to reassure me?
6 sighs and eventually relents.
Just make sure no bullets hit her. She's a full convert, so a single bullet is gonna hurt her like hell.
I intend to be at the end of no barrels.
You're gonna be disappointed sooner or later.
I am prepared. Tomorrow's operation should be simple. She's only insurance.
Don't count on it.
And don't make anything harder for us than it has to be. I trust you can do that.
I'll do what I can, but I don't want to hear any crying from you when this turns into a gunfight.
Some things are out of our control, but I will hold you accountable for your choices if they put us in unnecessary danger. So, keep your gun holstered until we need not are settled.
Oruune stands up from the table, walks about a foot away, does some kind of hand motion in front of her chest, and her Solstenaria uniform appears. As soon as she puts it on, she sharply exhales, curses under her breath, coughs, sits back down, grabs 3 wires, slotting them in between the fingers of her right hand, and with her left she does some hand motions which generate strange floating dots in front of the palm. When the motions stop, electricity envelops her hand, and then she touches each of the wires in order. The first one lights up a small light, the second wire lights up another small light, and the third one does nothing. She grumbles as though the last wire wasn't supposed to do that.
Someone hold this thing for a second.
Alright.
6 walks over to assist Oruune. She moves over so he can reach the small device.
Just hold it still and try not to break it.
Pretty sure I can handle that.
6 manages to hold it perfectly skilled. Oruune then places a very thin screwdriver on what appears to be a clamp and tightens the screw with a lot of force. Then tests the third wire. Nothing happens.
What?
She tightens the screw again with more force, tests it again, and both lights turn on.
Well, it works. Thanks, that was all.
Not a problem.
6 turns his head in attention back toward Yylch.
As for you, my gun is a tool. Tools solve problems. So until we have a problem, it'll stay in its holster.
If you're done with that conversation, could I have that summary I requested?
I would like to hear this as well.
After we got out of the elevator, we surveyed our surroundings, met with the local rifle, found a bloody orc body, and Lusat may or may not have killed a prostitute. After which I decided to run a
6 gestures with his arm.
experiment. Tried to fuse some prismatic remains to my arm. Hurt like hell, honestly. After that, we ran into one of Richard's guards. Got his contact info and decided to leave to lure away the Reich. Then they chased us into the elevator.
Did he kill them because you were getting distracted or just for fun?
Because she touched him.
Oh, I'm surprised it wasn't the first option. Regardless, I'm glad you and Lusat were able to make it out of that safely. 6, do you mind if I inquire about something privately with you?
Sure, why not?
I don't really want to risk being seen outside with you, so let's just use the closet.
How big a closet we talking?
I could fit a large dining table in there if I wanted to, including the chairs. You're not afraid of not having personal space, are you? Me too, that's why I picked a big room.
I was just that confused.
6 takes off his hat and gestures Oruune to the closet, as if to say, Ladies first. She walks in, leaves the door open. You can see she wasn't lying. It is a quite large closet. 6 then walks in, giving a sharp whistle in amazement at the size of the closet before closing the closet door.
6. You and the Sot were chased by the Reich. How far did they chase? Were you able to contact Richard, or was the endeavor a bust?
It was a setup. Told you as much after what happened at the elevator. I just alerted his guards before trying to lure the Reich away from him.
Hold on. Wait, what? Sorry, I'm stupid. Rereading this is confusing me. Alright.
All right,
Maybe I
let's
should-
try from the top.
Yeah, let's I think I got it now. Oruune, what kind of connections do you have in Gemini?
6's glaze narrows and glazes over, as if in disappointment at the display of quote-unquote leadership.
Try that again, Michael.
Oh yes, by the way, 6, could you summarize the events of the lower city for me, other than the, phone booth destruction?
She says,
Yes,
trying to... Okay, sorry.
Should I repeat?
Oruune
Yes.
tries to hide a smile. And she
Yes,
says
ma'am.
the phone booth.
God dang it, Mike. Stop pausing.
Obviously, Gemini had ulterior motives, but we cannot be for certain they were with the Reich. If they were, as soon as you were led to them to the Reich, they cared not if you were dead or alive. Wait, hold on.
I really don't like the idea of putting the kid in danger, but I'll admit, Lisette and I could have used the help.
There's something wrong with the order of things here.
No, there's not. No, there's
Okay.
not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay, 6, can you repeat that real quick?
All right.
Strange.
Good work, yo.
Yippee!